Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to make a how to watch video for Loki. Basically, how to watch Loki's journey in chronological order. Loki has appeared in various MCU films, and for those people that might be excited about Loki, but has not seen every MCU film, but is curious on checking this series out, yes, there is a lot of history with a lot of these MCU characters, but the good thing is you don't always have to go and watch every film in order to follow that character's journey, because they don't appear in every film. The cool thing about Loki is that he's very intertwined with Thor, so basically almost every movie that Thor is in, Loki is into. Almost, that's right. And I'll say the movie that Loki is not in that does have Thor when I get to it. But primarily, this is going to focus on Loki and the movies you should check out if you want to check out where the character has been before his own series start. Now, I also want to say you don't have to see all of these movies if you don't want to. You don't have to see any of them. WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, I believe, has been doing a really good job at showcasing these characters for newcomers to these shows. And the same things are with the movies. You don't have to see all the movies in order to get a lot of these films. I feel like the only one that you should have seen most of the movies, or a good majority of them, is Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Unless you were like following one or two of those characters, then you know what, you'll be okay. But for the most part, if you follow everything, you'll really be great. So let's get right into it, starting at movie number one. The first movie that introduces Loki to all of us, starring Tom Hiddleston as that character, is the first Thor movie. That's right, him and Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth, were these two characters, Loki and Thor, since the very beginning of the MCU. Remember, Thor was the fourth film released. That's right, because Iron Man 1 was first, then it was The Incredible Hulk, then Iron Man 2, and then Thor. And the first Captain America movie came out in 2011. So Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston played Thor and Loki since then, and it looks like they're both going to be continuing, because Loki will be returning in this Loki series, and Thor, Chris Hemsworth, will be returning in Thor Love and Thunder, which is supposed to come out next year. So that's pretty cool, knowing that both of them have been playing that long. And the first Thor movie showcases the origin, maybe, yeah, I guess they show the origin. Yeah, they show the origin of both Loki and Thor. So it really is a nice little film that sets all of it up. Although if you know mythology, Norse mythology, or at least a little bit of it, you know that Loki and Thor are gods that have been around for eons. So moving on to movie number two, you go to the Avengers. The first Avengers movie is the second movie up on this list. And you're probably wondering, wait, Loki is in the Thor movie? Does he team up with the rest of the Avengers? No, he's actually the villain of the Avengers. And which is really good too, because Thor was the movie that kind of set that character up. So what was great about having Loki as the villain is that he really shines in this movie, because he doesn't need too much explaining, because his backstory has already been done. They give a little bit of that just in case you haven't seen Thor, but if you do, it really adds to that character. And a lot of people will say this is where Loki really shines, and he gets a chance to communicate with all the heroes in this movie. All the heroes get their chance to interact with Loki. So Loki, if you become a fan of this character, which a lot of people are, Loki is still considered one of the best MCU villains to this date. And it's mostly because the Avengers, the first Avengers movie, really solidified him as a great villain. And then we get into Thor: The Dark World. That's right, this is the second Thor movie. And some people would say if you watch Thor, The Avengers, and Thor the Dark World, it kind of is like a Loki trilogy. That's how Kevin Feige described it at the time. Kevin Feige, who's the producer of all these films and the mastermind of all these films, he described Thor the Dark World as the Loki trilogy if you watch these three movies back to back with one another. And you'll see why when you watch this one. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll leave it at that. And then after Thor the Dark World, now if you're doing a Thor marathon, it would be Avengers Age of Ultron. But Avengers Age of Ultron is actually the only movie on this list that Loki does not appear in. So I'm not going to recommend that one if you're just doing a Loki marathon. I would say skip right ahead to Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok continues the story of Loki, what he's been doing since we last saw him in Thor the Dark World. And I don't want to say what he's been doing. So, but this is some great stuff, not with just Thor, but with Loki too. Thor, you know, probably a lot of people will say this is the best Thor movie of all three of the Thor films. This is the best one. I am someone that loves the first two Thor movies a lot, but I will admit Thor Ragnarok is the best. It's the most fun. It's the coolest of them all. And there might be one Avenger that Loki might, not just Thor, that Loki might come in contact with and be like, oh, it's you again. So yeah, it's a fun movie. So after that, you want to go into the two movies that Loki doesn't have a big presence in, kind of. Although his brother Thor does, but the movies are still important to Loki's journey, which is why Avengers Infinity War is next. I'm not going to say what happens to the character and why he doesn't play a big role, although maybe his presence is felt thanks to Thor. And then Avengers Endgame definitely sets up which is the one you want to see after Infinity War. Avengers Endgame definitely sets up the Loki series, and you'll see why when you get to that moment. You'll know the scene when you see it. They kind of... I'll leave it at that. Okay, so let's go through a recap one more time of these movies. The first movie is going to be Thor, the first Thor movie from 2011. Then you want to see The Avengers from 2012. Then you want to see Thor the Dark World, which came out in 2013. Then you want to see Thor Ragnarok, which came out in 2017. Avengers Infinity War came out in 2018. And 2019 came Avengers Endgame, and then you're all set for the Loki series coming to Disney Plus. I believe it's June 11. And the new trailer came out today, which looked freaking awesome. I thought about talking to it, but I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe it's better to give people a video that they can get pumped for before seeing the series if they've never seen any of these movies before. I do want to recommend 2 episodes if you really want to know if you don't just want to know just Loki's story, but Thor's story as well. There is a character in the first 2 Thor movies named Lady Sif who has gone off the radar since Thor the Dark World. Now, there are rumors, there's nothing concrete information confirmed about this, but Jamie Alexander, who played Lady Sif in the first 2 Thor movies, is said to be coming back for this Loki series, and she might be popping back in Thor Love and Thunder. Now, if you want to know where she was after the events of the first Thor movie, there's really no explanation in the movies yet. And I have a feeling they actually might give their own explanation. on where she has been. But just in case you want a little bit more of her too, I will recommend 2 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where she appeared in. And yes, there are quite a bit of Thor and Loki references in those episodes. Yes Man. The first episode is Yes Man, which appeared in season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., episode 15. And then in season 2, she appeared in episode 12 titled Who You Really Are. She appeared in both of these episodes. Both of these episodes take place after Thor the Dark World. So if you want, you can watch Thor the Dark World, watch that episode, the first one right after. And then I think the second episode came out after Avengers Age of Ultron or before Age of Ultron. I don't remember now. Both of them, you don't have to, but I thought I'd throw those 2 episodes out there for another Thor character. And that we'll see if they decide to acknowledge those events when we see her. I doubt it. It seems like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer in continuity anyways, but whatever. Just in case you guys were curious, there you go. With that being said, I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, take care.